The United Nations organizations announced that the Israeli occupation army is killing at least one child a day in Lebanon as part of its aggressions against the country. Venezuela's parliament appoints new representatives of the citizens' powers for the next 7 years. The Peruvian Congress approved draft legislative resolution proposing to authorize entry of U.S. military forces into the country. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the TeleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. The United Nations organizations announced that the Israeli occupation army is killing at least one child a day in Lebanon as part of its aggressions against the country. The occupying troops launched at least 11 airstrikes against residential areas in the Lebanese city of Yom al-Shakif, where dozens of houses were destroyed. At the same time, Israeli warplanes bombed the town of Baalbek and issued an evacuation alert for the nearby population in order to advance in their incursion into the territory. On Thursday, the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, was the target of over 30 attacks, most of them coming from the Israeli occupying forces. The UNIFIL spokesperson Andrea Tinelli stated so, adding that at least 7 of the hostile actions perpetrated by Israel were deliberated. The Israeli aggressions have not only targeted cameras, equipment, or the watchtowers of the UNIFIL, but also of their members have been wounded of the UNIFIL. In Palestine, more than 77 people were killed and thousands are still missing after the Israeli bombardment of a building in the northern Gaza Strip. Likewise, more than 300 people were chilling in the Beit Lahai area, including families from the Jabalia refugee camp. Several victims are still under the rubble due to the constant aggressions of the Israeli regime. The first meeting of the Global Alliance for the Creation of a Palestinian State and the End of the Israeli Occupation of the Territories was held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Wednesday. This meeting considers as a decisive step for the Palestinian state as part of the agreements reached at the United Nations General Assembly in September. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas thanks King Salman bin Abdulaziz and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for their leadership. China rejected trade restrictions imposed by the United States and the European Commission decision to impose additional fees on electrical vehicles manufactured in the country. According to the Minister of Commerce, the minister targets sectors such as chips, artificial intelligence, and quantum computing. In a statement, Beijing denounced that most of the industries related to these files are not connected to the national security. However, all of them will be affected, which will disrupt normal economic and trade cooperation between the two countries' enterprises.
The U.S. has withdrawn from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, developed Typhoon mid-range missile system, and used it as a tool to maintain its hegemony. It has made willful deployment and stirred up troubles, which increased the risk of war in the region. It has been proven time and again that the U.S. is a real saboteur to peace and a troublemaker.
In addition, the Chinese spokesman stated that the Liberation Army will prepare for combat and increase its military capability to fight, win, and safeguard its national sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The Taiwan issue is at the very core of China's core interests, and the first red line that must not be crossed in China-U.S. relations. China urges the U.S. to fully recognize the severe consequences of arming Taiwan, which would surely backfire, and not to go further down the wrong path. Several pieces of U.S. weaponry will not close the cross-strait military power gap, still less stop the historical trend of China's reunification. The People's Liberation Army will continually improve its combat readiness, comprehensively enhance the military capability to fight and win, and firmly safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity.
The Russian Defense Ministry reported that 21 Ukrainian missile drones had been intercepted in 6 regions and the Black Sea south of the nation. The aircraft force stopped Kiev News attempts to commit terrorist attacks with unarmed aerial vehicles on Russian facilities. In this regard, the Defense Ministry recalled that both the United Kingdom and the Netherlands promised to finance the purchase of drones for Ukraine, thus leaving confirmation of their interest in taking part in the strike against civilians in Russia. Let's take a first break, but remember that you can join us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko stressed the need to promote discussions on global conflicts and develop measures to overthrow modern challenges and threats. During the mixed international conference on Eurasian security, the Belarusian president warned about the world's tendency towards militarization. In addition, Lukashenko stressed that a lack of control and balances has led to the awakening of regional and global security.
Do we need this in Europe? We don't. Neither Russia, nor Ukraine, nor we, nor you, the Eurasian continent, we don't need it, but the danger is great. That's why, today, before presenting any idea from one side or the other, as they say, a victory plan or anything else, maybe even nonsense, we have to sit down at the negotiating table without preconditions.
President Lukashenko also urged the United States to withdraw its nuclear weapons from the Eurasian region in order to calm hostilities.
In order to really calm the situation and create conditions for dialogue, it is necessary to remove the U.S. nuclear weapons from the territory of the Eurasian countries. This lethal arsenal is an anachronism of the Cold War era. So we will not stand on the sidelines. I am responding to those who today are concerned about the fact that we have tactical nuclear weapons deployed on the territory of Belarus.
In Sudan, more than 130 women commit suicide in a single day for fear of being sexually abused by warring military groups in the nation's civil war. The news came to light recently after a publication on the social networks and has given way to a wave of denunciations comparable to increase in sexual crimes. Halal Karib, regional director of the Strategic Initiative for Women in the Horn of Africa, confirmed that reports about the denunciations are absolutely true. Karib confirmed that since the first day of the war, women have been subject to brutal abuses, and notes that in this conflict, the main victims of the paramilitary forces are girls and women between 17 and 35 years of age. In Indonesia, at least 7 people were killed and thousands injured after a bridge collapse at a pier on Banda Island during a camping rally. The construction collapsed due to the overcapacity as multiple people lined in Kosusaman appeared to welcome a ship carrying a local region candidate to the island. In the aftermath, regional authorities identified the deceased and the injured were transferred to the Banda Nira hospital by the speedboats for medical treatment. In Spain, the Coast Guard rescue units recovered a small boat with at least 75 people arriving from African countries. The maritime rescue indicated the boat was 7 miles out of the south of the Hierro Island and was transferred to the port of La Restinga. Immigrants from African countries continue to use the road that has been labeled by the Spanish government as the most dangerous in the world, traveling boats through the Canary Islands. Moving on, in Spain, the death toll after flash floods that impact the region of Valencia and Castilla-La Mancha has risen to 104 people as a search of missing continues. The floods that were triggered by a weather phenomenon known locally as Dana, a Spanish acronym for the high-altitude isolated depressions, left many municipalities in Valencia without drinking water and some 75,000 people without electric supply. In China, Super Typhoon Conrad made landfall in Taiwan, rising 10 meters wave and forcing thousands of people to flee their homes. With maximum winds of 184 kilometers per hour, the Conrad hit the east coast of the town of Shingon at 1:40 p.m. local time, the Central Meteorological Administration report. And in Colombia, the president of the Transnational Presidential Council of Haiti, Leslie Voltaire, stated that Haitian biodiversity hasn't been lost in his keynote address at the conference of the party's COP16 on biodiversity in Cali. The authority assured that Haiti is the cradle of historical botanicity in Americas, although some media have tried to estimate an unfavorable image, notwithstanding that the Haitian biodiversity still remains in full vitality. Let's take our last break, but we invite you to stay with us on the November 5th over our special program coverage on the presidential elections in the United States 2024, only on TeleSUR. On financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. Venezuela's parliament appointed new representative of the sitting's power for the next 7 years. After reviewing more than 40 eligible profiles, the National Assembly appoints Gustavo Vizcaino as the new Comptroller General of the Republic. At the same time, the National Assembly ratified the current Attorney General Tarek William Saab as the head of the Public Ministry and Alfredo Ruiz in the Ombudsman's office. After the appointment, the President of the Parliament, Jorge Rodriguez, sworn in the new members of the Republican Moral Council. The Peruvian Congress approved on Thursday a draft legislative resolution proposing to authorize the entry of the U.S. military forces into the country. The measure approved and promoted by the government of Dina Boluarte obtained 62 votes in favor, 23 abstentions, and 23 against, and 7 abstentions. The executive proposal comes under the guise of providing support before and during and after the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum meeting. In Peru, the health sector demonstrates to demand the government better wage and working conditions. In this regard, with the action, the Peruvian Medical Federation requests that the government of Dina Boluarte finds a solution to the lack of medicines and equipment, in addition to increasing the health budget and approving a bill for the promotion of 4 years of service of health professionals. The Prime Minister of Haiti, Gary Conille, was summoned to an urgent meeting by the Transnational Presidential Council to fight off the presence of alleged mercenaries in the country. The meeting that was set to happen on Wednesday afternoon was rescheduled to next week as per the Prime Minister's request. The petition for a gathering between the two government heads comes after several local media report the alleged presence of mercenaries from a private security company in the capital, Port-au-Prince. At the same time, in El Salvador, the Congress approved on Wednesday to send a military contingent to Haiti for medical evacuation. The agreement passed with 57 votes and the 60 legislators of the unicameral Congress controlled by the New Ideas Party of President Nayib Bukele authorizes the incorporation of the national forces to the multinational security support mission led by Kenya. The director of the legal affairs of the Salvadorian Foreign Ministry, Patricia Aguilera, detailed that the agreement is subscribed to protect the conditions of the MSS mission in Haiti, sealed among Haiti, El Salvador, and the organizations of the Americas States OAS so that the Salvadorian forces will only help to conduct medical evacuation operations. In Argentina, after Wednesday's strikes, unions have claimed the protests have just begun and they remain on the warpath against the government of President Javier Milei. The measure carried out this Wednesday has already been baptized as a super strike since they managed to immobilize the whole nation. In this regard, leaders of the National Transportation Board gathered to analyze these scenarios, underlined the high rate of participation and announced more actions. And in Colombia, the Peace with Nature Coalition, which brings together more than 22 countries and 80,000 people to address the global environmental crisis, was officially launched during COP16. The Secretary General of the United Nations Organizations, Antonio Guterres, the head of state, 5 foreign ministers, 114 ministers, and more than 80 organizations, among others, attends and participants witnessed the birth of this coalition, which, in the world of the Minister of Environment of Colombia, Susana Mohammed, is a political declaration of significance to make a change with nature.
Building peace means, above all, the transformation of territories historically affected by poverty, violence, and the incidence of illegalized economies. Many of these territories are in environmental ecosystems of great value for Colombia and the world.
We have come to the end of this brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For TeleSUR English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.